becoming tired of wasting time not doing anything. So he grabbed his supplies and table and went about selling some hot chocolate outside. However, on that day, he'd be visited by police. Just as soon as he set up his stand, Andrew found himself being questioned by the police. The two officers told Andrew's parents that a neighbor called because Andrew was outside in the cold selling hot chocolate and were allegedly concerned about the temperatures. Apparently, the neighbors were too busy to visit Andrew themselves, so they had the armed agents of the state do it for them. Now, when they showed up, the officers did something pretty awesome. Instead of shutting Andrew's operation down and telling him to go inside, they became customers. After the officers confirmed Andrew was just fine, he offered them each a cup of hot chocolate on the house, but the officers paid him anyway. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for Monday, February 18th, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
An innovative new smartphone app funded by the GOP is set to streamline voter discrimination in key swing states. With more on this fascinating story, we go to Jason Copeland.
Well, thanks, Andrea. You know, a new election means a new set of racist voting laws in battleground states, causing long delays and chaos at the polls. But does it have to be so cumbersome? This year, the exciting new Vote Right app aims to help minorities avoid the hassle by stripping away their vote right in the palm of their hands. The Vote Right app is incredibly user-friendly. When you register, you first enter a set of personal information and take a photo of your skin. Vote Right immediately makes rash generalizations about you, and these are just some of Vote Right's intuitive new features. Real-time updates on the bullshit red tape preventing you from registering, and even a video of a condescending white woman who will scream at you from the phone rather than in person at the polling station.
This isn't a food stamp line, sir. You need ID.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. And we're live with you like we are every night. And we want to have a conversation. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-4377. Free as in freedom, and that's what we want to talk about. And we're going to talk about a couple things related to the U.S. Constitution. You know, that piece of paper that is supposed to be, allegedly, the way they wrote it, the ultimate law of the land. The one thing that all other laws are always supposed to follow and that all government officials are supposed to follow. So occasionally we bring in stories, and the we tonight is myself, Chris,
Bob,
and Melanie.
And the first story we wanted to discuss a little bit was from Reason. David E. Burstein writes on the dangers of government by executive. So we've been talking about this problem of governing from the executive branch only. The way the U.S. Constitution was set up with was the idea that the representatives of the people in Congress, and specifically in the House of Representatives, would come up with a law that they want to pass. And assuming that it is constitutional for them to do so, then if it cleared the House, it would then go to the Senate. The Senate originally was a much more austere body than it is now. Originally, state legislatures chose the senators that would go to Washington. The senators were thought to be more learned men, and they would serve a longer term. They would serve 6 years as opposed to the House of Representatives, which served 2 years. And assuming that the House and the Senate both approved a law, then it could go to, I should say, a bill. See, I forgot all my Schoolhouse Rock stuff. But once a bill was passed by both houses of Congress, then it would go to the president, who could then choose to sign it into law or veto it. Go either way. That all sort of changed in our history with the passage of the 17th Amendment, which allowed popular vote to determine who your senators are. So, again, when you selected your senators, that wasn't really done by you. It was done by your representatives in your state house. And after the 17th Amendment, it was just done by a popular vote. It really isn't a popular vote. What it means is whoever raised the most special interest money gets to choose who is going to be your senator. And if you doubt me on that, ask why $40 million was spent on a Montana Senate race, for example. David E. Burstein writes, there are lots of things one could say about Trump's invocation of an emergency statute to, quote, build the wall. Other commentators, including Ilya, have said most of them, so I'll refrain. But in short, it's a terrible idea, and I hope the court stops it. I did want to add one additional consideration that goes beyond the issue of the wall and goes to the general issue of presidents acting unilaterally on significant controversial issues, regardless of whether they have a technical legal authority under broad, vague statutes. During the Obama administration, defenders of presidential unilateralism argued vociferously that A, the president was elected to get things accomplished. We've got to get things done. B, Congress, via Republican majorities in the House and later the House and Senate, were being obstructionist. And C, therefore, the president was within his rights to use his full authority to govern unilaterally, even in the face of long-standing contrary norms. For example, Obama, like Trump, was stymied by Congress on his preferred immigration policy, so he used his broad statutory authority under the immigration laws to resolve the, quote, dreamers, unquote, issue indefinitely, using the authority far more broadly, more consequentially, and in more direct defiance of Congress than any president had previously. So this is what I find interesting. We have a lot of people on the left going, you can't just exercise this broad use of executive power. It's unconstitutional. And then you have people on the right, now that Trump is being elected, saying, well, he has every right. Obama did it. Oh, right. Obama did it, right?
Of course. And then, of course, they're just going to go back and forth, and the state will continue to grow, which is, left wing, right wing, same bird, shoot it down.
Right. But who's it's almost like we're just at this point, we're playing who is the original hypocrite?
Right.
Is it the Democrats? Is it the Republicans?
Well,
what's your point?
Is there even a difference, or are they just in collusion?
That's a good point. You look like you have something to say, Melanie.
I mean,
other than I am completely revolting you by this topic.
Not really. They haven't paid attention to the Constitution since John Adams. So,
right.
Well, even before then,
and that's being generous, I guess. But yeah, they're breaking the law. They're going to continue to break the law. That's about it.
So why do you bring up John Adams? What, our second president, correct?
Yeah.
What did he do that was so bad?
Alien and Sedition Act.
That was a doozy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? So what was an alien?
Anyone not born here.
Very much so. Does that speaks to me of current topics too. The Aliens and Sedition, and we'll talk a little bit about sedition. The Aliens Act basically said, if I'm correct, and I'm often wrong on these things, but it was specifically, we were in a war with the French at the time. And anyone who was of French ancestry could be arrested for no reason whatsoever. And anyone caught helping the French for any reason, or a French person, that was considered to be a violation of the law.
And of course, before anyone thinks that that was then and that's an old thing, FDR did the same thing with the Japanese.
Very much so.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago. George, I'm gonna mess up his last name. Takei, the guy who was in Star Trek, was Takei was in a U.S. concentration camp.
Oh, but he has nothing but good things to say about it.
That's beside the point. He's a person who's alive today, and it's not like he's 90. He was in a U.S. concentration camp.
That's true.
That's what they call Stockholm Syndrome.
But obviously we couldn't do that again today, right? I mean, that law must have been overturned, right? You can't just take Americans because of their national heritage or their genetic makeup and throw them in a cell, throw them in a concentration camp. You can't do that today, right? Yeah, you can. So one would think that something as horrendous as that, as the U.S. jailing people strictly because of their race, because of their genetic makeup, we couldn't do that today. But that law was challenged. It was challenged and went all the way to the Supreme Court in Korematsu v. U.S.
I am astounded as to why the Supreme Court took that case.
Explain.
So there are certain cases that the Supreme Court has to take, and those are cases about technicalities, about font size on federal filings. Boring stuff that no one wants to read because they are the court of rights for certain federal issues. They're the overseer of federal courts for those type of things. As far as cases that make the news, right. Cases that are either come from a state court or maybe they come from a federal court, but you're arguing a constitutional issue or you're arguing, a broader legal issue. Usually you're arguing a constitutional issue. They only have to take those if they feel like it. They can take or reject any case as they feel like it, with or without reason. I mean, the denials of writ basically just say it's one sentence. We deny writ for this case.
Right.
That's it.
Done. And that's it. You have no recourse.
Why they took that case, I've never gotten a good answer from, and I can't think of one myself. Because they do not like to interfere with, for obvious reasons, the kind of core state functions.
Right.
They're not going to interfere with military strategy. They're not going to interfere with taxation. So why they took that to then just make a bad legal argument for the conclusion that they had to come to when they could have just said, I'm not taking this case, I don't know why.
That's a great question. So what do you think on issues like U.S. running concentration camps or our president deciding to work outside of Congress?
For that convenience of just pulling open a bag of formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways. How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com with just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore. DINOVITE.com.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash is building a foundation that can support daily transactions for people everywhere. One feature that sets Smart Cash apart is the Smart Hive governance model and how the community can vote to fund the best projects with block rewards stored in the Smart Hive project treasury. Unlike other cryptocurrencies with voting systems, Smart Cash allows everyone to participate. One smart equals one vote. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and we've been discussing things constitutional. We've been talking a little bit about the overuse of executive power, and I can hear you Democrats out there, finally, somebody's giving it to Trump. But I think we spent part of our last segment discussing how John Adams abused it. We talked about how Franklin Delano Roosevelt abused it. 2 prominent Democrats. Was that Democratic Republicans during Adams? I can't remember Adams. But we're also going to talk about how Republicans have, based on whether they're in power or not, have either rallied against it or rallied for it. And this week in the news, we see Donald Trump and his supporters rallying for heavy-handed executive action. When you have, and this is what the framers and founders of the country were concerned with, was putting too much power in the hands of a single person. They referred to that person as a tyrant, and I'm inclined to believe the idea behind the U.S. Constitution was to balance power between different branches of government. 855-450-3733, and we're going to go to the phones where we've got Dave calling in from New Hampshire. If I can figure out the right buttons here. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, folks.
Hey.
Go ahead.
And an NH Exeter has been arrested.
An NH editor or NH Exeter?
NH Exeter, an advocate of New Hampshire secession.
Okay. And what happened?
It really wasn't. It was not closely related to the secession issue, but a little bit. It's Russell Canning, and he was actually in Texas. He was arrested protesting. He refused to leave the parking lot of Planned Parenthood clinic.
Okay. And he got arrested for?
I guess he must have been trespass.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like trespassing.
So he had previously been warned to leave the property and he refused to? Or came back again?
I got that impression. I think he'd been planning to do something like this for a while. He used to live in New Hampshire, but he had to leave, and I guess he wants to come back, but he hasn't made it yet. But I guess, the thing that makes this an issue of civic interest is simply, I guess, the fact that Planned Parenthood receives federal funding, and that's a sore point for, both people who are pro-choice and people who are pro-life.
I can see that. So any update on Russell? Is he made bail? Is he still in the clink, or what's up?
Yes, and he reported that they kept him for about 14 hours, released him, and he's got a trial or a court date on March 7th.
And the charge is, well, we don't know what the charge specifically is.
I believe they said it was trespass, but I'm not sure.
Gotcha. So it makes it a difficult to present a First Amendment case when there are a lot of laws that will either protect certain organizations. Is protesting at a Planned Parenthood thing? I wonder if there are perhaps state-specific laws or anything like that. I'm trying to rack my brain for anything I might have heard that sort of elevated, that discussion above the normal discourse.
They cannot prohibit you from protesting on either your own land, and they can't prohibit you from protesting on public property as long as you're not blocking or otherwise interfering with the business. The problem is, even though Planned Parenthood receives federal funding, they're not considered a branch of the state. They're considered a private organization.
Right.
I can't. So if somebody's on food stamps, I can't be like, well, you receive federal funding, so I'm going to protest in your yard. That's not how this works.
Right. But that's the thing is it really depends on the situation and where exactly Russell may have been protesting.
Well, he said he was in the parking lot.
Yeah. So is the parking. I guess again this comes down to property rights.
How is your parking lot not your property? Like,
if you're leasing it, if other businesses use the same parking lot, you know what I mean?
Not in Texas. There is no. I will bet anything that the Planned Parenthood in the South does not have a shared parking lot.
You don't think it's just in a strip mall?
I think it has a gate around it. No.
I think you're probably right. David, thank you so much for your call. Yeah, it's a good question. And like I said, it really comes down to property rights, and it's really hard to speculate on something without seeing exactly where it is and where the property lines are and who owns it and things like that. But this is why we love having Melanie on the show, because you've got some training that I certainly lack. As they say, I am not a lawyer, and I will offer no legal advice whatsoever. Melanie, at least, has taken some classes, so she's ahead of me. We are going to stay on the phones, and we're going to Bo Diddley, who wants to call in to discuss President's Day. Bo Diddley, you're on the air.
Howdy, y'all. I'm aware it's President's Day, but I didn't get to see the news yet today. Do y'all know if the president saw a shadow?
Say that again. I missed it.
Well, it's President's Day, and I hadn't seen the news. I was wondering if y'all know if the president saw a shadow today.
That's a great question. Does that mean we're going to have 6 more weeks of tyranny or 6 more weeks of liberty? Is that?
No, it's actually a full year.
A full. So the president acts on an annual basis, actually, 4 years at a clip. Yow. That's a great question. Melanie, do you think he saw his shadow today? I have not checked golf courses around Mar-a-Lago, Florida, so I don't know.
I think he's sitting in his office. I don't know.
Think so? Not propped up in bed eating a half dozen cheeseburgers.
I'd much rather have Punxsutawney Phil as president.
I'm with you on that, and I've been to Punxsutawney. I've been to Punxsutawney on Groundhog's Day, which is absolutely the worst possible day to go to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania.
I would imagine.
Depending on your point of view, if you really want to get stumble down, fall down drunk, it's a great place to be.
I mean, really, the worst day to be there is Groundhog's Day if you're Bill Murray.
That's true. I think he's still there for all we know.
Right.
Right?
Well, maybe if one of the other listeners they can call in and fill in.
We'll keep asking. We'll keep our poll going. How's that work for you, Bo Diddley?
That's great. Thank y'all.
Thanks for the call. Gosh, I never really thought about that. See, I think there's something to this. I think we can put enough strength in just anonymous, just obscure events, then maybe we'll get to a point where it all makes sense to us. I don't think so. We were discussing an article, though, and I'm flipping back to it. Bear with me for just a second. Discussing the dangers of government by executive. As a constitutional matter, and this is the author speaking, I think this argument and analogous arguments made less coherently by the Trump administration defenders have things backwards. Congress and not the president is given the legislative power, so outside of certain military and foreign matters, it's Congress, not the president, that is elected.
Next day shipping isn't going to cut it because you really need it in like an hour. Yeah. That's when you turn to Office Depot Office Max. Buy what you need online at OfficeDepot.com or on our app and pick it up in store for free in just 1 hour. So you can get back to whatever else is lurking on your to-do list. And hurry in to save up to 40% at the furniture event. That's up to 40% off at Office Depot Office Max. Offer expires February 23rd, 2019.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And hopefully tonight you'll also be able to reach us on Discord, discord.lrn.fm. You'll be able to load up a little bit of a client, and if you've got a good internet connection and you've got a good microphone, you're going to sound just like you're sitting here in the studio with us. And tonight's show is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. Bitcoin.com is your premier source for everything Bitcoin related. Bitcoin.com can help you choose a Bitcoin wallet, buy Bitcoin, and show you where you can spend your Bitcoin. You can also read the latest news or engage with the community on the Bitcoin forums. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. And we've been talking things constitutional, or conversely, we've been talking things unconstitutional. And when I say we, it's myself, Chris,
Bob,
and Melanie.
And we've been discussing, sorry, we're getting a little bit of feedback here in the studio. We've been talking about the dangers of government by executive, and this is coming to us from Reason magazine. And the reason this comes up right now is a lot of people feel that President Trump has overreached his powers by freeing up money and basically saying, I'm going to build the wall whether Congress approves it or not. He's going to do that by declaring a national emergency and thereby allowing him, under some obscure law that was written and approved by Congress and signed into law by a previous president, the ability to take those funds and use them for what he apparently determines is an emergency. And the question is first of all, is he constitutionally allowed to do something like this? And secondly, is this really a good idea? And we're reading an article from Reason magazine. Of course, a major reason people did not care about national politics that much, even if they had a strong feeling about particular issues, is that the national government historically has relatively limited powers. But any reason, one that transcends the scope of federal power, was that is our Constitution makes radical change, or really any significant change, very difficult. It needs to get a piece of legislation through each House of Congress, in parentheses, each of which has various internal rules that make it hard to do so, and then get the president to agree. This obviously had its downsides, and it created a huge status quo bias, and the status quo is often far from ideal. On the other hand, voters could be assured with whomever got elected, Republican or Democrat, major changes were unlikely. This was especially true because until recently, the parties were divided more on geography and the current background of their voters than on ideology. So to me, this kind of is a new phenomenon that I saw transpiring over my lifetime. This real polarization of the people into this left-right paradigm. So I talk about this a lot, but I remember asking my dad, and this is literally in the 60s or 70s, why are you voting, aren't you a Republican? Why are you voting for a Democrat? And my dad just said, well, sometimes the better person's, the other party. And he sort of explained it that way. My mother, conversely, was a Goldwater Democrat. She supported Goldwater when he ran in the early 60s. So this idea of splitting a ticket, I'm going to vote for some Democrats and some Republicans, is almost inconceivable. Bob, you and I were discussing The Princess Bride earlier. This is one of those times that I think it's it. I just can't imagine that many people voting two different parties.
Well, right, and I think there's actually a much bigger phenomena going on, more than just divide between people polarizing to left and right. I think just in general, culture is generally fracturing, getting smaller, more minute, and being spread out. it was something I like to talk about quite a bit is kind of the niche communities of the internet. Like, you can get this niche entertainment that would never fly on TV because you wouldn't have enough people, but you can gather people from all over the world for some form of niche entertainment or interest. And so really we're getting more, I think we're seeing a rise of ideological cultures and a shrinking of geographical cultures. And I think overall that's probably a good thing, but we're kind of in the in-between period right now.
Yeah. Would you agree that well, at least us, it's hard for us to judge because we've only lived within our own lifetimes.
Right.
But it seems to be a relatively new thing where I think, I mean, for me, as I look back at my life, this harsh polarization really came of power. I'm thinking more with the rise of 24-hour news cycles and things like that. You know, CNN suddenly had people going. The first time I really noticed it was when MSNBC and CBS and, MSNBC and Fox News, that was really the first sort of portrayal there. But I don't know. What do you think? 855-450-FREE. Has our country polarized even further? Is there any chance at all of us getting out of that? We're going to continue with this story. Of course, a major reason people did not care about national news, they had relatively limited powers. I'm trying to see if I've already read this subject. This obviously had its downsides, and it created a huge status quo bias. We read that. Over the last 40 years or so, however, the parties have become strongly divided ideologically, which itself raises the stakes of national elections. Electing a Republican will bring into government a very different group ideologically than electing a Democrat. Moreover, delegation of authority by Congress to agencies given the president a fair amount of discretion to change policy through his appointments of executive officials. Nevertheless, the stakes remain relatively limited so long as the president adheres to the traditional norms and refrains from major policy innovations without going through Congress. Once the president instead chooses to, in effect, quote, legislate, unquote, on important matters unilaterally, the stakes get raised substantially, and the U.S. becomes more like parliamentary systems where every election seems like life or death to partisans, inevitably increasing social tension over ideological and other differences. This article finishes, so constitutionally structured, why is presidential unilateralism bad? Because our system was designed to make major shifts in government policy difficult, and that a good thing because it lowers the stake of politics. We have experienced in 1861 what happens when a significant part of the country believes that the national government has become arrayed against it, and it's not an experience we should want to repeat on any scale.
Well, I would take some objection with their point because it's not. I don't even think it's so much power in general is the problem, but yes. I think even bigger is an issue of time preference.
Right.
Governments, as we have them now, are generally want to okay, well, I'm going to be in for 2 years, 4 years, whatever. Okay, well, I'm going to get as much power and money and influence for myself as I can in that time, and trash the place. It's like having a rental car. You're not going to take as good of care of it as your own car. But then you have somewhere like Liechtenstein that has a constitutional monarch, and so they kind of won the ruler lottery there, but it's run much better.
Interesting thoughts. How about it? Time preference. Time preference, the idea that some people value things now and some people value the bigger things that take longer to do. 855-450-FREE. Give us a call. Let us know what you think.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dinovite.
Dinovite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of LicoChops. Get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved LicoChops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try LicoChops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dinovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's premier home purchase lender. We've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable interest rates. Our exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, we lock your interest rate for up to 90 days. Then, if rates go up, your rate stays locked. But if rates go down, your rate drops. Either way, you win. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Your promotion to CIO, Chief Ink Officer.
Because this week, in honor of President's Day, you get 20% back in rewards when you spend $75 on ink or $200 on toner.
With savings that big, you'll be the Director of Deals, the President of Printing.
Get 20% back in rewards on ink or toner. Now at Staples.
Where there's a whole lot in store.
Ends 2/23/19. Restrictions apply. See store or staples.com/20 in rewards for details.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and we are live tonight like we're live every night. 365 days a year. We've had a bunch of shows being broadcast from Anarchapulco. Bob, you and Melanie, did you not get your tickets to a great libertarian anarchist event in sunny Acapulco?
Well, I'm not allowed in Mexico right now, and I'm also afraid they won't let me back in if I leave. So.
Also, I tend to think of that Berwick is a giant scam artist.
He is.
So.
That is a commonly held belief, not unique.
I want to clarify, I'm not allowed in Mexico by my doctor, not by the country of Mexico.
Oh, really?
Because that sounds really bad, I guess.
I was just going to not ask any more questions about that. So, okay, your doctor doesn't want you to fly in your delicate condition.
I didn't ask about flying. I'm not allowed basically south of the border. I'm not allowed in Mexico or the Caribbean.
Okay.
Yeah. Places where the baby could get diseases is more easily. Yeah.
Bad diseases.
Yes. That we don't have immunity to. Yeah.
Those are all good reasons to stay home and probably not take part in that. But I know they've had a great time down there. I know that Ron Paul spoke one night. That was kind of exciting. And you can find all that at archives.freetalklive.com and catch up on past shows. So we've been talking a little bit about executive power, and what brings this conversation kind of to the forefront is there have been accusations by people on the left and very few people on the right that Trump has overstepped the rules. He's gone beyond the Constitution.
Well, they've all overstepped the rules. Since when do we pay attention to the Constitution?
Well, because Republicans, we are the guardians. Say we, I'm a former Republican and I still get in the habit of saying it. We're defending the Constitution. It would all be all better if everyone would just follow the Constitution.
Okay, I want somebody to show me where in the Constitution it authorizes Social Security.
That would be Article 4, Section nowhere. Am I correct?
Yes.
I am correct. Okay, good. What you will find out if you actually want to do more than play lip service to the Constitution is that probably 99% of what the federal government does today is unconstitutional. It is not prescribed. And let's talk a little bit about the Constitution itself. The idea was, at least as it was sold to us through the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist papers, was this idea that a government that is so restrained it can barely function. It can function enough so that we could get ourselves out of a war we found ourselves in. It will not provide homegrown tyranny, and that's what they were fighting against. But,
and I don't know how many drugs you have to be on to actually believe that, but it's a whole lot.
And then George Washington immediately prosecuted the Whiskey Rebellion with the army.
Yeah, you can't.
Well, it's not like we were fighting wars over taxes, right?
Well,
yeah, we kind of did.
Yeah, you can either create a government or not, and if you create it, it's going to have power. If you don't create it, well, then it's not going to do anything because it won't exist.
Yep. So as a bit of a preface here, I think all three of us in the room do not see any real use for government, correct?
Not in the top-down form. I mean, governance provided by the market, absolutely.
In the English language, government is generally understood to mean a state.
Right. So I think we can safely say that we object to the idea of a state. That doesn't stop us from debating things involving the state, and it certainly doesn't stop us from talking on a national radio show where the only thing people have to relate to is our current situation and our government. What I hope to find is that some people have some idea of what the Constitution says. A couple listeners out there, maybe you're driving long-haul truck and you've read a book or two. I hope that you have an opinion on this because it affects you every day. We hope to sell you on the idea that you really don't need a ruler governing you. You do a great job of that on your own. 855-450-FREE if you would like to join into the conversation. But again, this question of executive power comes up, and the left loves to jump all over Trump and say you can't do this, and the right loves to retort and say, yeah, but Obamacare. And I can't remember the actual term or the actual phrase he used, but it was something to the effect, I've got a pen and a phone and I'm not afraid to use either. Barack Obama. So he was very much of the opinion that if things weren't getting done the way he wanted to see them get done, or his party felt that they should get done, then we'll just go around it. Fight us in court. And now Trump is doing the exact same thing. What the next part of this conversation quickly became about over the weekend, which I found pretty interesting, was talk of the 25th Amendment. So the president quickly came out and declared that the 25th Amendment is unconstitutional, which on its face is is a problem if there is an amendment to the Constitution that makes it part of the Constitution. And it holds all the weight of every other part of the Constitution. So an amendment can't really be unconstitutional.
I mean, at some point here, Nancy Pelosi's going to bring out a folding chair into the ring. And, I mean, of course, the only problem with that is
what a great visual. Thank you.
Of course, the only problem with that is that politics is much more fake than professional wrestling.
That's true. That's true. But this idea, and I don't have the text pulled up, but I'm going to pull it up. The text of the 25th Amendment details how you replace a president. And it puts a lot more specifics around it because we found out in 1963 that some of these things were lacking. And in 1964, the text of what became the 25th Amendment was released, and the states, I believe, ratified the whole thing in 1967-68.
Well, it was a rather mind-blowing experience.
Really? I should say too soon? No. 25th Amendment. But the idea of how do we actually replace a chief executive or how do we replace vice presidents and things like that hadn't been well discussed. So the 25th Amendment basically states in 4 parts, and I'm going to read these. In case of a removal of president from office or his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Okay, so far so good, right? We all understand that part.
Sure.
VP becomes president. Section 2, whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the vice president, the president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority vote of both houses of Congress. All right, so for whatever reason, there's no longer a vice president. Vice president gets assassinated. Then the president nominates whoever he wants. It doesn't really put any boundaries around it here, but there may be others in the Constitution. And then both houses of Congress have to say, yep, we're going to ratify that decision. But it has to be a majority. So out of the 535 congressmen and senators, you've got to get half plus 1. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
All right. Section 3, whenever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate, and that's usually a position held by the vice president, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, and until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the vice president as acting president. So, for example, the president, I'm trying to think of how he could do this in writing. This one seems a little odd. No, we have a couple different ways here. Okay. So whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, this basically says that if everybody in the cabinet decides that the president's crazy and he needs to take a little break, they can do that and make the vice president the acting president. What do you think? Do you think that Trump is out of control? Do you think he's gone beyond his powers? Do you think he should be subject to the 25th Amendment? 855 450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
#1 international best-selling author Matthew David Hurtado's pain was simple. Lyme disease bankrupted him in 2009, watching bankers take everything from his family. After building a 7-figure business from his couch, God called him to ministry to teach prosperity based on pain he could not tolerate in others' lives. IRS, creditors, car loans, debt. It's the Babylonian system, and you have to escape it before it's too late. Haven't you ever wanted to wake up from this nightmare? Matthew David's free quick study guide shows you what to do today to build lasting wealth in any economy. His discovery he made? It's all consciousness. Get Matthew's 7-figure quick study guide for clarity, certainty, and a proven strategy to build wealth once and for all. Visit escaperightnow.com. Do it now. It's free. escaperightnow.com for a prosperous future ahead with peace of mind. escaperightnow.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your Liberty Beat for Monday, February 18th, 2019. Gold opened today at $1,326. Silver opened at $15.80. And Bitcoin is trading around $3,883. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, over the past few days, notable journalists and other figures in mainstream media have acknowledged that the alleged chemical weapons attack that occurred last April in the Damascus suburb of Douma, Syria, was likely staged by activist groups, such as the White Helmets. Their comments and investigations have largely vindicated the many journalists and academics who cast aspersions on the precipitous Western media campaign to blame the alleged attack on the Syrian government. Mid-Press News reports that now that the revelations are being voiced by acceptable figures in mainstream media, those who have built their careers on promoting the White Helmets and regime change in Syria are working to discredit the new dissenting voices. The alleged Douma attack, notably used as the justification for a military attack launched against Syria by the U.S., the UK, and France, returned to the news cycle earlier this month, following a report from James Harkin, currently the director for the Center for Investigative Journalism. Harkin's report, published in The Intercept, cast doubt on the prevailing mainstream narrative surrounding the events that occurred in Douma last April. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% at checkout by using promo code SNLS. This is the Liberty Beat for Monday, February 18th, 2019. An 11-year-old student at Lawton Childs Middle Academy in Lakeland, Florida, was recently arrested after an argument with teachers and school administrators. The Mind Unleashed reports the student reportedly got into an argument with a substitute teacher after refusing to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. The student told the teacher the flag was racist and he did not want to stand. The teacher then engaged in a political debate with the 11-year-old boy, asking him the classic rhetorical question, quote, "If you don't like it here, why don't you just move to another country?" End quote. The student aptly replied, "They brought me here." According to Bay News 9, the teacher said, "Well, you can always go back." The substitute teacher then proceeded to call the office. The situation escalated and police were called to the classroom. The teacher claims the 11-year-old child threatened her with violence, but the student denied the accusation. The student was eventually arrested for refusing to obey multiple commands after arguing with the adults and calling them racists. An 11-year-old boy who lives in Castle Shannon, Pennsylvania, received a hefty dose of the See Something, Say Something state earlier this month, when his hot chocolate cells landed him in the crosshairs of police state-dependent neighbors. The Free Thought Project reports that Andrew Donaldson was becoming tired of wasting time not doing anything. So he grabbed his supplies and table and went about selling some hot chocolate outside. However, on that day, he'd be visited by police. Just as soon as he set up his stand, Andrew found himself being questioned by the police. The two officers told Andrew's parents that a neighbor called because Andrew was outside in the cold selling hot chocolate and were allegedly concerned about the temperatures. Apparently, the neighbors were too busy to visit Andrew themselves, so they had the armed agents of the state do it for them. Now, when they showed up, the officers did something pretty awesome. Instead of shutting Andrew's operation down and telling him to go inside, they became customers. After the officers confirmed Andrew was just fine, he offered them each a cup of hot chocolate on the house, but the officers paid him anyway. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for Monday, February 18th, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
It's the Onion Radio News. A family of 5 is found alive in the suburbs. This is Doyle Redland reporting. The Holzapfel family, long feared missing or spiritually dead, was found alive in the Chicago suburb of Buffalo Grove today, somehow managing to survive in the hostile environment for more than 8 years. Rescuers discovered the 5-person clan after a survey plane spotted a signal fire from a barbecue grill. To protect themselves from the elements during their long ordeal, the Holzapfels fashioned a 3-bedroom ranch-style lean-to with brick facing and white aluminum siding. Paramedic Mary Gill was first on the scene.
They were all suffering from severe cultural malnutrition.
The Holzapfels have been returned to civilization for now, though trips to the Art Institute of Chicago and a nice Peruvian restaurant intended to reacquaint them with urban living have been met with confusion and resistance. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, hour number 2. We do 3 hours every night from 7 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. Rain, sleet, snow, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter.
President's Day?
President's Day. Happy President's Day. And that's likely the response you're going to get.
Those aren't holidays. Those are just the mail schedule.
Right.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Pretty much. And banks.
Banks, all the things.
Yeah, but you don't usually need a bank to be open. You just go to the ATM for the most part.
Well, now, but back in the day, I mean, people, this was a big deal. This was like a whole banking holiday, which have been used repeatedly in
the bank was
country.
open today, though. We just went to the ATM. And
yeah.
There was people inside. I thought they were closed because I was thinking it was Sunday for whatever reason. It didn't even occur to me that it was a post office holiday, but they were open.
Well, today is the day that you are supposed to be celebrating, by writ of law, the great presidents who have come to continue to lead our country in greatness.
I don't do a lot of things the feds want me to do.
I mean, I would absolutely celebrate William Henry Harrison's presidency.
A great presidency,
Indeed.
By the way. And I think for libertarians,
the best.
Harrison has been one of our favorite presidents of all time. Yeah. And what did he do?
Died.
He died 30 days, ballpark. Right. I think it was about 30 days.
Yeah, 31 days. He wouldn't stop giving his inauguration speech in the pouring rain in the middle of January, got pneumonia, was sick in bed for the next 30 days, and then died. He did the least harm, therefore he was the best.
So there you go. But we also take your calls, and we're going to go to the phones. And this is Sarah. Sarah is calling from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes. I worked very hard to get the vote out, and I got the result that I wanted. I turned our whole state completely blue.
You did this?
And, well, I mean, we've always known that it was a Democratic state.
Oh, okay. You're referring to political teams. I thought you were like you had put it outside where it was cold, or you had deprived it of oxygen.
No. I mean, we really, we have three. Everybody that we sent to Washington are Democrats now. And our governor is Democrat, our House, the reps and the Senate, they're all Democrats. And the most important thing that I got out of it
What
was
did
the
you get
cigarette
out of
tax.
it? Say again?
The cigarette tax going up $1.50, and that was not, part of my expectation.
Well, so Sarah, you realize the problem with that is if you tax something, you're going to get less of it. That means you're going to get people who are driving and withdrawing from nicotine. That's the bad combination.
That's a great point. Sarah, what about all the people that are now going to be on the roads driving across crosswalks, jonesing for a cigarette that they can no longer afford? Those people are prone to run over people, and Sarah is very conscientious of the deaths by automobile against pedestrians. So how do you answer?
That's a very, that's an important issue. I mean, the jonesing part of it is not significant as them blowing smoke while I'm standing at the bus stop.
People
they sit right on the bus stop.
Do my cigarettes offend you when you're sitting at the bus stop, Sarah?
Well, they tell you, I asked one of them, can you move? But can you put it out? You told me I was here first. You
No,
stand
I'm
20
sorry,
feet
Sarah.
away, you went to the next bus stop.
I was asking about my cigarettes. Do they bother you?
Well, you know what? I have never sat next to you on a bus stop with a cigarette, and in New Hampshire, it's illegal. You're not allowed to smoke in New Hampshire on a bus stop. They won't.
Well, and Chris has a job too, so he's not usually at the bus stop.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not filthy commies. We have cars.
Yeah, I guess the point is, Sarah, it's not just the guy sitting next to you. It's every person other than you who makes a decision that they want to smoke or they don't want to smoke. Those are decisions that people can make.
They have been obnoxious with me. That's why the cigarette tax is almost going to be like $3.25. I've been nice. I've been polite.
So you have an issue with individuals.
No, I'm lucky they didn't punch me out. You know what I mean?
Well, no. What I'm saying here, Sarah, is you've basically said you don't have a problem with my cigarettes because you're not around me. So that's okay, evidently. But you do have a problem with certain individuals who are discourteous when they smoke. They blow smoke in your face, or you don't like the smell of it.
And Sarah, there is a simple solution here. There is a way to avoid people smoking at the bus stop near you. You could get a job and get a car.
You could, in your own car, you could declare that a no smoking area.
Because it's your property.
Well, I'm proud to say I have never owned a car. I have never bought petroleum gas to put in my own car, and I'm a very environmentalist.
You are.
So I'm proud of that.
So
if you support government, no, you're not.
So you're fine riding in a vehicle that is powered by petroleum
buses
products.
are pretty stop and go, and that burns more gas than just getting on the road and driving to your job directly.
Right.
Yeah, but in one while they'll move 300 people. It's like a city carpool system.
It's a nice idea.
Like I said, I'm set up with these obnoxious. The smokers here, they're gonna have. Well, they're already poor anyways, so they're gonna have hard time buying cigarettes. It's gonna be harder for them to buy cigarettes now. They're gonna have to pay almost $3.50 in tax.
Yeah, but you realize if that
them bothering me.
You realize if that happens, you realize if that happens, they're going to be withdrawing from nicotine, which is one of the most addictive substances on earth, and they're going to be very angry. And frankly, if you voted for a tax increase, you probably deserve it if they hit you.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you for your call. The problem with this, and this is the idea of a sin tax, I want to tax everything that I don't like, is you are going to most directly affect, as Sarah accurately points out, the people most in need of their money. Yeah. You know, if more people with lower incomes and low wealth get taxed more by government because Sarah feels they need to be taxed, then what you are doing is taxing the poor to benefit the rich. And that doesn't really sound to me like where Sarah usually comes from, but I don't think Sarah usually thinks things through to completion. That may be part of the problem. We were talking, and in the first hour, we discussed a little bit about the challenges of executive power and why our framers did their best, to no avail, to limit executive power. And when we talk about executive power, we mean the power held by the executive branch of government under the president. And we talked about examples of Obama with Obamacare exceeding what many felt were legal limits set forth in the Constitution about what a president can do. And then we looked at other things like, the Aliens and Seditions Act under John Adams and the unlawful internment by FDR of Japanese Americans or anyone with any Japanese heritage. We got into that a little bit, and we talked about the court case that followed that, Korematsu v. U.S., but I don't think we ever gave the punchline to that. The punchline to that is the U.S. Supreme Court found that it was absolutely constitutional for the government to round up a bunch of people based on nothing but the makeup of their DNA and throw them in what amounted to concentration camps. Do you think Trump will do such a thing? Do you think Trump has exceeded his executive power, or do you favor what many are talking about now, use of the 25th Amendment to remove a president, a sitting president who was elected by the majority of the people? 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
SmartCash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. SmartCash also features Smart Rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn Smart Rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 Smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart Rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855 450 free. That's free as in freedom. Or 855-450-3733. You can also reach us on Discord. Go to discord.lrn.fm, load up the Discord client if you haven't already, and hit us up. You'll sound like you're sitting right here in the studio with us for your moment of fame. Tell all your friends you were on a nationally syndicated radio show, and how do you know you'll get on? Because we take all calls. That doesn't mean we don't dump them occasionally if they use bad words. So remember, we are nationally syndicated, therefore you can't cuss. But we've been talking about things constitutional, and we've been taking phone calls. The we in studio tonight is Chris,
Bob,
and Melanie.
And we're going to go ahead and hop right to the phones, where we've got Tom calling in from Hudson, New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, recently there was a little firestorm over Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, a Democrat, who retweeted an answer to somebody's tweet, like, why are all these Democrats doing so much to support the state of Israel? And, like, the state of Israel says jump, and they pretty much say, how high? And she replied that it's all about the Benjamins, baby, which is about campaign donations.
Well, isn't that the case with pretty much everything that happens in Congress?
Well, supposedly it's where do you stand on the issues? Who do they, and then they compare the candidates and give the campaign donations to the ones who just so happen to have the positions or issues that favor their interests. So if you're...
That's by definition what lobbying is.
Yeah, that's what lobbying... Well, no. See, she's saying... the way she said it sounded like they changed their position in order to get the campaign donations, which is probably true, too.
Right,
but,
which is the result of lobbying.
There was one article in The Nation written by a congressional campaign manager who was talking to the candidate about this, and they had to come up with a campaign position paper, that favors what AIPAC wanted. And next thing they knew, AIPAC raised $5,000 in campaigns for them. It's like they felt real bad about it, but they desperately needed money for their campaign. So, the other reason, remember, is because too many people just go by what their TV spoon feeds them instead of visiting the Project Vote Smart website.
They do.
And comparing the candidates.
A lot of people have never heard of AIPAC. AIPAC is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and it is a lobbying group that pushes, I guess, the agenda and the interests of the state of Israel. And
what they're trying to imply is that if you don't support AIPAC, if you don't support the U.S. foreign aid to the state of Israel for security assistance or for humanitarian aid, then you're anti-Semitic, like the creeps who go painting swastikas on synagogues. They're trying to blur the distinction between being anti-Jewish people and being anti that bureaucracy over there in the Middle East.
Okay,
and
so real quickly, there's a couple
danger.
questions I have here. I mean, first of all, that to me sounds like highly successful lobbying, when you can basically say that if you don't do what we say, we are going to paint you
like Hitler.
You're a Nazi.
Right. This is what Ben Shapiro does all the time. Like, you tried to pull that with Ron Paul. He was like, oh, well, Ron Paul says we should cut foreign aid to Israel and all countries. Therefore, he's anti-Semitic.
Right.
Like, wow, which is one of the most absurd things you could ever say.
This is why you have to not care what people say about you.
Right.
Yeah, and anyway, she seems to be surviving it, but largely because the firestorm raises public awareness that, it happens to be so, that, these people are, it's not anti-Semitic to be against aid to the state of Israel, especially, or criticizing some nasty things that the state of Israel has done recently. That's not anti-Jewish people. That's anti the state of Israel stuff. And if you're automatically painted as a Nazi, that pretty much
guarantees your vote.
The bureaucrats in Israel, the government bureaucrats in Israel as the dictators over the United States Congress. And that's a very dangerous situation if people would fall for that. But luckily, I think she's doing pretty well. It's too bad she's so socialist, because, she's as she's as blunt as Ron Paul, but your politics as far as socialism is like way too much to the left, and that's and I'm not racist when I say that. I'm not anti-Muslim when I say that either.
Yeah. Thank you for the call, and that's interesting. Unfortunately, so many people, if a vote on a particular topic happens to fall in line with their beliefs. So let's say you hate the state of Israel, and you hear this and you go, okay, well, then I have to support Omar's agenda. Means I guess I'm now a socialist because she's a socialist, and therefore I should just blindly follow that. Folks, that's not how to do politics right. You should look at topics. You should look at people's position on something. And quite frankly, I'm trying to think of a current standing politician who I would really support. I'm kind of drawing a blank because they all come up on the wrong side of liberty. That's the problem.
Well, and part of the problem is people just don't have legitimately just don't have time to do that. Companies that hire staff have entire HR departments, and some of that is to comply with regs, but a lot of that is just to make sure you're hiring the right people. Like, you already have a job, and now you have this additional unpaid job of manage the corporation of the United States federal government's hiring processes, which is just another reason why democracy or variations on democracy, like republics and stuff like that, are incredibly stupid. Like, if you said to me, okay, Melanie, in addition to all your jobs, I want you to do the hiring for Shell Corp.
Okay.
I'm going to screw that up because I am not relatively qualified.
No, I think you're going to do a hell of a job.
And especially if I can diffuse that responsibility between 300 million other people.
Well, right. Especially when it's a job that can't be done morally.
Well, that
like,
too,
you can't
but
do
even
it
if
right.
it was.
Like, it's not possible.
She's saying just practically.
Right,
Yeah, just even if it was a legitimate position. If you said to me, hire people for Shell Corp, I don't know what I should look for in a engineer of oil or whatever the hell they even do. Like, I'm not qualified to do that. And if I know my vote only counts 1/300,000th, I'm not particularly motivated to go find out. In addition to the fact that I have other things to do besides work for free for Shell Corp.
So after about 2 years in office, President Trump still has somewhere around 500 unfilled positions. Does that surprise you? It doesn't surprise me.
I have no idea.
My understanding is some of that is Congress not approving things, but
and you're going to have that. You're going to have the Senate not fulfilling their obligation to approve appointees and things like that. But sometimes it just takes a while to hire the right person. 855-450-3733.
Detoxify, lose weight, and restore balance to your body by simply drinking tea. Surprised? Dr. Miller's Holy Tea can help you feel better and even lose weight, because Holy Tea is a unique herbal tea blend of all natural ingredients specially formulated by Dr. Bill Miller. Call this number, 888-660-7039, or click drmillersclinic.com. Take the first step toward better health. Drink tea from Dr. Miller's Clinic.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733 or 855-450-FREE, free as in freedom. And that's what we like to talk about. We like to talk about freedom, we like to talk about liberty, and we like to poke holes occasionally in the way our government works, or I should say doesn't work, because most of the time it doesn't work really well. You know that. You see it every day. In studio, it's myself, Chris,
Bob,
and Melanie.
And we've been bouncing around a lot. First of all, we bounce around when we take your phone calls. This is a completely unique type of radio show, and that you can change the subject at any time. We may be talking about the 25th Amendment. We may be talking about overreach by presidents throughout history. If you don't like the subject, you change it. That's how this works. And another thing you can do is you can go to clips.freetalklive.com. A lot of people have asked for clips to come back. This is something that Free Talk Live has done in the past. But we also broadcast live video during every one of our shows. So if you want to go to twitch.lrn.fm, you can watch us during the show. You can chat. There's other people there to chat with. You can also go to our YouTube channel for clips at clips.freetalklive.com, and you can check out just little moments from the show. I think most of them last maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but they are interesting, and I encourage you to check them out when you get the chance. So we had a caller. The last call we had was discussing, how do you pronounce her last name? It was one of the first Muslim women who has served in Congress, Ilhan. I don't know if her name's pronounced Ilhan or Ilhan Omar, who's a Democrat from Missouri, and she was basically asked about, what does she think about the lobbying group AIPAC and throwing money around, and her short answer was, it's all about the Benjamins, baby, and that's pretty much what lobbying is. And then we discussed a little bit about how that shifts people's perspective when you throw a bunch of money at that. Who would have thought if I start giving you money that may change your views on a particular subject?
Well, especially if you're giving money to amoral psychopaths. Like, yeah, I mean, that's what politicians are. Like, so yeah, they don't have moral principles. They have what they can get. And so, yeah, if that gets them more money, that's the position they're going to take.
That is the truth. And, that's why we see our foreign policy change frequently. Yeah. It will be leaning in one country's direction. Libya is a good example of that. So for years and years and years, Libya was the devil. They did some horrible things. There was a plane brought down that killed a whole lot of Americans. I don't think anybody really condoned that sort of activity. But then following 9/11, Muammar Gaddafi stands up and goes, wait, I don't want to get bombed either. So now I'm a good guy, and I'm going to work with you guys on the war on terror. And Gaddafi suddenly was, the example of what we can realize in the Middle East, that this will be the case. This will be a great example of that. Until Gaddafi falls out of favor, and mostly with the neoliberals at that point, led by Hillary Clinton, and said, no, we don't need you around, so we're going to bomb you and kill you, which is what they ended up doing with Gaddafi.
And now we have open-air slave trades. Yay!
So good job with that. Way to go, guys.
Yeah.
As we talk about this idea of replacing people in office, which the government sometimes likes to do just through force like that, sometimes we have people who are wanting to do that through other means. And President Trump has brought a plethora of discussion about the 25th Amendment. And we discussed that previously in the show. The 25th Amendment lays out how a president can be replaced. And one of the caveats that everybody or one of the options available that people seem to be running towards is the idea that the cabinet can put forth the name. They can submit in writing to Congress, we would like the president. He's not capable of doing his job. And one of those people has been Elizabeth Warren, who has her eyes set on, guess what? The president's job.
Yeah, that's after the DNA test thing. That's never going to happen.
You're saying she may have lost a little credibility there?
Just a little.
Yeah, there are people who are more non-human than Elizabeth Warren is Indian.
That'd be
well put.
To translate, that's in a reference to Neanderthal DNA.
Well, and the other one that starts with a D.
Yeah.
U.S. Senator Elizabeth, this comes to us from MassLive.com. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, a Massachusetts Democrat and 2020 White House hopeful, again offered support this week for the idea of the Trump administration officials using the 25th Amendment to remove the president from office if they believe he cannot fulfill his job duties. Warren told reporters after a Sunday rally in Las Vegas that while she doesn't have, quote, any special knowledge, unquote, of what happens in the White House, she believes that federal officials are obligated to invoke the amendment, which lays out the process and procedures for replacing the president in case of death, removal, resignation, or incapacitation.
Yeah, nope, it says may, not shall. She's wrong.
Or the author of this article is, it could be either way. If they are concerned,
okay, if she said that, she's wrong.
That's a good point. If they are concerned about Trump's ability to lead the country, campaign officials confirmed, quote, I'm not the one who hangs out in his office and sees him every day and sees how well or how poorly he's been able to manage from day to day with the decisions that he faces. But what I do know is that where there are a whole lot of people who do see him every day, who evidently are talking about invoking the 25th Amendment, she reportedly said, quote, and my point here is that if they believe that Donald Trump cannot fulfill the obligations of his office, then they have a constitutional responsibility to invoke the 25th Amendment, unquote. Warren reportedly added that the administration officials, quote, loyal under law is not to Trump personally. Their loyalty is to the Constitution of the United States and the people of the United States, unquote. The senator's comments, which echoed those she made last fall, came in response to former acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe's reported suggestion that the former acting Attorney General Rod Rosenstein considered using the amendment against Trump. Melissa Schwartz, a spokeswoman for the former acting FBI director, said that while, quote, at that time, at no time did Mr. McCabe participate in any extended discussions about the use of the 25th Amendment, nor is he aware of any such discussions, unquote. He, quote, was present and participated in a discussion that included comment by our Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein regarding the 25th Amendment, unquote. That sure sounds like a whole lot of words that basically say, yes, they discussed the 25th Amendment. Would you disagree? Again,
there doesn't seem to be a lot of substance in there.
No, but that's the way these things can be reported, and politicians are very good at spinning it one way or the other. They could come out and say, yeah, we discussed the 25th Amendment, but not at any great detail, or they could have released, 500 pages of what was discussed. What do you think? Do you think Donald Trump should be removed from office? Do you think that the 25th Amendment should be used? 855-450-FREE. We want to hear from you. I want to know what your feelings are on this or on any other subject. Give us a call, 855-450-3733.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
The push to legalize marijuana is gaining momentum. These prescription doobies will do a whole lot more than just give patients a case of the munchies. Proponents are piping up to say that medical marijuana can help patients with some of the chronic illnesses that have been majorly killing their buzz. Unfortunately, 36 U.S. states are still not a kind bud of the legalization argument. But in states that do have the plan, the results have been, well, pretty far out, man. Patients nationwide are bluntly asking state legislatures to finally mellow out so that they and their doctors can work jointly to stop the suffering that's making a hash of their lives.
So it's clearly an issue that means a lot to these patients.
So states shouldn't toke their time with this policy. We'd be upset if patients had to wait a long time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855 450 free. That's free as in freedom. 855-450-3733. We're eager to take your calls, and you can also hit us up on Discord, discord.lrn.fm. We're going to try to take one of those calls in just a moment. But first of all, in studio, it's myself, Chris,
Bob,
and Melanie.
And we've been all over the place. We've really been wanting to talk about Use of the 25th Amendment to remove a president. Should Donald Trump be removed from office? Or is that action, or even discussing it, quote, unquote, quote, unconstitutional? Is the Constitution itself unconstitutional? An interesting theory put forth by our
according
president.
to the Articles of Confederation, it would be.
There you go.
Well, no, it wouldn't be. It would just be a violation of that document.
Details. But I did want to say thank you to a very special person, and that is Michael Yaw. Michael Yaw is a gold amplifier of Free Talk Live. Amplify, or the AMP program, stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And those monies go directly towards doing just those things. We advertise the store, the show, we market the show, and we promote the show. So when we see Ian and Mark going to conventions and things like that to get the word of liberty and get the word of this program out there so we can get more radio stations, real live radio stations to pick up the show, that's a good thing for everyone. To find out more about the AMP program, you can go to amp.freetalklive.com, and Michael gives at least $10 a month. He's a gold subscriber, so that's a nice support, and thank you very much for doing that. We were just discussing Elizabeth Warren's belief that people within the Trump administration should immediately call for the removal of Trump. I'm just trying to find out where we were at here. The senator's comments, which echoed those she made last fall, came in response to former acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe's reported suggestion that the former acting Attorney General Rod Rosenstein considered using the amendment against Trump. Melissa Schwartz, a spokeswoman for the former acting FBI director, said that while, quote, at no time did Mr. McCabe participate in any extended discussion about the use of the 25th Amendment, nor is he aware of any such discussions. He, quote, was present and participated in a discussion that included comment by Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein regarding the 25th Amendment. We discussed that before the last break, but that to me was the most weaselly sentence I think I've read, coming from a lawyer who said, yes, it was discussed, but I'm going to answer this in such a way that no one could even prove that I acknowledge that it did indeed occur in the first place. Come on. Do you think there is, do you guys think there is discussion of use of the 25th Amendment within the Trump White House?
I mean,
no.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding the process, but why would it matter if it's in the Trump White House? Wouldn't that be a function of Congress?
Well, Congress can
the
call
vice
for
president also has to sign off on it.
Right, but he's essentially a member of Congress.
Right, as the president pro tempore of the Senate. But the 25th Amendment also says that a majority of officers within the executive. So basically, you can get all your cabinet off. If you were to get all the cabinet officers together and say, this guy, he's off his rocker. He's doing crazy stuff. He's dancing around the White House wearing a tutu or whatever it happens to be. We're going to go ahead and move forward with this, and you would need the assistance of the vice president to submit that letter.
Sure.
That could be a permanent thing. It could be a temporary thing. So I think you could identify there's medical reasons why a president might fall under the 25th Amendment. And it seems to me like that happened. I can't remember if it was, it might have been during after Reagan's assassination attempt, that he might not have, as he was being operated on, they may have invoked the 25th Amendment temporarily.
No. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So because of the people who would have to sign off on that, I think it's pretty solidly that it can only be used if there's an actual problem.
Right. But Warren doesn't want, it would really be more convenient to her if you could just put an indelible stain on this presidency, so it will make it easier for me to get in. That seems to be.
I mean,
more
you can want it all day long. That doesn't mean it.
And
makes
really,
any kind
at
of
this
sense.
point, it's personal. I mean, like, he did humiliate her in a pretty epic way.
Why would she release that DNA test?
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I'm 1,023rd wrong, but I'm gonna say I'm right.
Well, because one thing Trump is good at, like, and it's not necessarily a good quality. Although when it's turned against politicians, it's hilarious. So,
I mean, it's silly that somebody would get up in there and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm."
Well,
Indian.
he's really good at putting people in no-win situations. Like either she doesn't play along, in which case like he can just keep trumpeting that over her, or she does, and now it's and then even if she were Native American, you'd be like, oh, look, well, you just barked at my orders. Like,
there are so many BS reasons you can give to not want to take a DNA test.
No, absolutely.
No.
But
or at least to not want to release it. Come on.
And like it's very manipulative, and it's a pretty horrible trait generally, but it is pretty hilarious when applied to politicians. So.
Right. So there have been a couple examples of the 25th Amendment being used. After it was, it was ratified. It was put forth in 1965. It was approved, finally certified, which meant I think it's a supermajority of states have to all vote in favor of it, and the president certifies the amendment. Happened in 1967. The first use of the 25th Amendment occurred in 1973, when President Richard Nixon nominated Congressman Gerald R. Ford of Michigan to fill the vacancy left by Vice President Spiro Agnew's resignation. Not many people remember Spiro Agnew, but he proved that Maryland politics can be just as dirty and deceitful as Chicago politics. So he was removed from office. In less than a year later, the 25th Amendment would be used again, this time Vice President Ford became president after Richard Nixon resigned, and he nominated Nelson Rockefeller to fill the vice president's vacancy left by him. And that would have had to have been not ratified. What's the term that I'm thinking of? Basically, Congress would have had to have approved that. So it has been used at least a couple times before it can be doing it. This article continues. The New York Times reported in September that Rosenstein discussed recruiting cabinet members to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove Trump from office over concerns of him being unfit for the job. Those discussions occurred in early 2017 after Trump fired FBI Director James Comey, according to the newspaper. Warren previously urged support for invoking the 25th Amendment against Trump after the New York Times published an anonymous September 2018 op-ed from an alleged administration official which raised questions about the president's leadership and fitness for office. The senator argued that if, quote, senior officials believe the president is unfit, they should stop hiding behind anonymous op-eds and leaking information to Bob Woodward, boasting that they're trying to save the country, and instead do what the Constitution demands them to do, invoke the 25th Amendment and remove this president from office, unquote.
Well, and of course, one of the big problems is that for as long as I can remember, vice presidents have existed as a buffer against this. I mean, that's why you have Pence, because that would be horrible. That's why you had that's why you had Biden, because he's a creepy child molester.
Pick somebody that's so horrible no one in their right mind would ever want him to be president.
Exactly.
Well, and I mean, if that's the system you set up, that's what you should expect. Right. People aren't going to just. I mean, if you're going to design a game, which is what this is, you should expect people to play in such a way that they will win.
Right.
You have bad rules.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anything to change them. The last constitutional amendment we had passed was the 27th, and that one was put forward to be voted on in, I think, 1791. It was ratified in about 1992, so it takes a while to change the Constitution.
Hello?
Congratulations.
For what?
For losing all that weight. How'd you do it so fast?
ASAP.
ASA what? What's that mean?
Are you ready to get as skinny as possible, as soon as possible, as simple as possible, and as sexy as possible?
I'm listening.
Then get with the ASAP program. It's real and it works. No smooth talk, no slick advertising, and no exaggerated claims of success.
I've got to know more.
Welcome to ASAP, as slim as possible. Whether you have 10, 20, or 50 pounds to lose, ASAP is your weight loss answer. ASAP targets the abnormal fat reserves and makes them available to be burned as fuel and contains no caffeine or hormones. Order ASAP at wholesale prices or join the team to share the business with others. Go to GCNteam.com or call 855-GCN-MALL. That's 855-426-6255. GCNteam.com or 855-426-6255. Lose weight and look great with ASAP, as slim as possible.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your Liberty Beat for Monday, February 18th, 2019. Gold opened today at $1,326. Silver opened at $15.80. And Bitcoin is trading around $3,883. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, over the past few days, notable journalists and other figures in mainstream media have acknowledged that the alleged chemical weapons attack that occurred last April in the Damascus suburb of Douma, Syria, was likely staged by activist groups, such as the White Helmets. Their comments and investigations have largely vindicated the many journalists and academics who cast aspersions on the precipitous Western media campaign to blame the alleged attack on the Syrian government. Mid-Press News reports that now that the revelations are being voiced by acceptable figures in mainstream media, those who have built their careers on promoting the White Helmets and regime change in Syria are working to discredit the new dissenting voices. The alleged Douma attack, notably used as the justification for a military attack launched against Syria by the U.S., the U.K., and France, returned to the news cycle earlier this month, following a report from James Harkin, currently the director for the Center for Investigative Journalism. Harkin's report, published in The Intercept, cast doubt on the prevailing mainstream narrative surrounding the events that occurred in Douma last April. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% at checkout by using promo code SNLS. This is the Liberty Beat for Monday, February 18th, 2019. An 11-year-old student at Lawton Childs Middle Academy in Lakeland, Florida, was recently arrested after an argument with teachers and school administrators. The Mind Unleashed reports the student reportedly got into an argument with a substitute teacher after refusing to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. The student told the teacher the flag was racist and he did not want to stand. The teacher then engaged in a political debate with the 11-year-old boy, asking him the classic rhetorical question, quote, "If you don't like it here, why don't you just move to another country?" End quote. The student aptly replied, "They brought me here." According to Bay News 9, the teacher said, "Well, you can always go back." The substitute teacher then proceeded to call the office. The situation escalated and police were called to the classroom. The teacher claims the 11-year-old child threatened her with violence, but the student denied the accusation. The student was eventually arrested for refusing to obey multiple commands after arguing with the adults and calling them racists. An 11-year-old boy who lives in Castle Shannon, Pennsylvania, received a hefty dose of the See Something, Say Something state earlier this month, when his hot chocolate cells landed him in the crosshairs of police state-dependent neighbors. The Free Thought Project reports that Andrew Donaldson was becoming tired of wasting time not doing anything. So he grabbed his supplies and table and went about selling some hot chocolate outside. However, on that day, he'd be visited by police. Just as soon as he set up his stand, Andrew found himself being questioned by the police. The two officers told Andrew's parents that a neighbor called because Andrew was outside in the cold selling hot chocolate and were allegedly concerned about the temperatures. Apparently, the neighbors were too busy to visit Andrew themselves, so they had the armed agents of the state do it for them. Now, when they showed up, the officers did something pretty awesome. Instead of shutting Andrew's operation down and telling him to go inside, they became customers. After the officers confirmed Andrew was just fine, he offered them each a cup of hot chocolate on the house, but the officers paid him anyway. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for Monday, February 18th, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
According to a groundbreaking new study published Thursday in the New England Journal of Medicine, psychologists have discovered that the average person, while ostensibly appearing to be normal and mentally sound in their day-to-day lives, immediately becomes a deranged psychotic when alone at home.
We observed hundreds of subjects with successful careers, numerous friends, and loving families. Perfectly normal. But as soon as they were at their homes by themselves, they began presenting behavior consistent with those suffering from dementia, schizophrenia, and various other acute mental illnesses.
Researchers illustrated the study's findings with footage of 29-year-old test subject Brian Temple, who, despite having a steady job and maintaining an ordinary social life, exhibited increasingly erratic and unstable activity from the moment he was alone in his apartment, including dancing in his kitchen to no music whatsoever.
Eli's coming!
Making grotesque faces in the mirror for extended periods of time, and seemingly having conversations with no one in particular.
This is the Onion News Network.
Excellent.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Live with you tonight, wherever you are, because we know where we're going to be. We're going to be sitting in these chairs in front of microphones, anxiously awaiting your phone calls at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733, or reach us over Discord, discord.lrn.fm. Load up a little client, get your good microphone and your good speakers, and you're going to sound just like you are here in the studio with us, and we're going to give that a try right now. Bad Slave, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me all right?
I can. What's on your mind?
Well, thanks for taking my call. And a welcome, Bob. We haven't been introduced, I don't think, but you guys are married, you and Melanie, right?
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. I did not want anyone to get the impression that Bob and I were married. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yes. Well,
we're just friends.
And congratulations on your marriage and anything else you may have going on.
Well, we do have a kid coming up in August.
That's a big deal.
Yes. Yeah. My son was born in August, by the way.
Awesome.
On the 20th.
Most people
25th.
And I'll say 1/12 of the population on average was too.
I guess not most
I had
people, but
some
more
friends.
than every other.
Anyway, to get to the call, the 25th Amendment thing is just a joke. I think that the Democrats and the progressives and the leftists and the liberals and the whatever they want to call themselves, are watching Trump actually, kind of blow the doors off of, getting stuff for their base done. Not for my base. My base would, have more like Adam Kokesh jumping in there and shutting down the federal government. But I guess that's probably a little too much to wish for. And anyway, so I see what's going on, and we're about to take care of the problem that's been plaguing us and
what
for
problem,
50 years in Korea, and they're dealing with all kinds of probably bad trade deals. He probably knows what he's talking about there. I'm not sure about all of that, but the economy certainly seems to, and the stock market seems to be doing quite well.
Well, I got a question for you. Since when is how well the stock market is doing been a reliable indicator of how good the economy is?
Well, it's not. I mean, the economy is actually crap, and I get that. I'm not just I get that. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that these Democrats they're hating the fact that Trump is actually doing well, and I think his numbers are going to continue to improve. And in spite of I think a whole bunch of monkey wrenching that's been going on in the background, not only by Democrats but by Republicans that don't get along with Trump, and they don't want Trump's success any more than anybody else.
Just so we can look at some numbers and we can put this in a little bit of perspective, his approval rating is somewhere around 43%, according to Real Clear Politics. That's they poll a whole bunch of different sites. They keep an eye on these. It's recently taken a bit of a upturn. It looks like since the State of the Union, but will that hold through the next circus? I don't know. But will you argue that your argument is that he's done a good job?
Well, no, that he appears to be doing a better job than Obama, than Bush W, than even Clinton. I don't know. I mean, I think that going with a $22 trillion debt, is crazy. But I think the debt is a purely manufactured thing by the Federal Reserve and everything else.
Well, I mean, of course, the real solution to the debt is, most of it's owed to the Federal Reserve and whatnot. We could just repudiate most of it, and really it's the politicians' debt, so we can just sell them off to pay what's left of it.
It's really not even necessarily the politicians' debt. The solution to the national debt is to take Jerome Powell and commit crimes against him.
The other alternative, we all need to embrace. Can you turn down? Do you have a speaker going on in the background? I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. But under modern monetary policy, which is the new buzzword, this is basically, it takes Keynesian economics that says debts are okay, debts are good, and says, but we still have to have some respect for economics. And it throws away that whole respect for economics out the window and just says, call it what it is. Printed money is printed money. So you should just be able to print as much as you want. There will be zero inflation because it is what it is. It's money's a tool to be to fuel the economy, and that's all you need to do.
Well, and that's of course that's the inherent problem with Keynesianism and right-wing Keynesianism. The Chicago school is like they treat money as they just, oh well, there's numbers. Numbers mean good. Well, of course that's not really what it's about. It's about human satisfaction,
right? And there's a whole line of issues that come along with the, quote, modern monetary policy. Bad Slave, thank you for your call. We should really talk about that at some point, because I'm really interested in your guys' opinion on this idea of modern monetary policy. This is being espoused most notably by AOC Alexandria. What is the Ocasio-Cortez. I'm just so used to saying AOC. Yeah. I follow her
on... It's a lot easier than those stupid hyphenated names.
I follow her on Twitter to remind myself to follow more Austrian economists on Twitter, which is really what it comes down to.
I like to keep a philosophically diverse group of people just to kind of keep up with what's going on.
Yeah. And for me, she is an open socialist. Yeah. Really is far to the left as I can seem to find, and like I said, I agree with you. You have to follow a diverse group of people, but in the interest,
well, you don't have to. I just like to.
I do too, but I also feel that I don't want to put myself in this.
You have to have something to laugh at every once in a while.
Well, there is the humor aspect to it too, but I also don't want to be caught in my own echo chamber where I'm just listening to people that all agree with my points of view. Even though my points of view are absolutely correct. But, Melanie, you brought in a story that we felt was compelling. Can you give us a headline?
I can give you the headline when I pull it up, but it's about telling children that they can't... Okay, here it is. Schools tell girls they can't say no when asked to dance because inclusivity.
See, now, where was this when I was a nervous junior high boy?
You don't want that in your memory.
I think I don't know. At certain points in my lifetime, I think I really would have appreciated that sort of law.
Yeah, but now you don't want it.
Yeah, of course.
You don't. Now you don't want that to have been a thing.
They are really trying to sell me on this. 855, 450.
How horrible would you feel, like growing up and then realizing, oh, they only danced with me because they were forced to? That's so creepy.
That is a little on the rapey side of things, but we're going to discuss that. What are your opinions? 855, 450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash is building a foundation that can support daily transactions for people everywhere. One feature that sets Smart Cash apart is the Smart Hive governance model and how the community can vote to fund the best projects with block rewards stored in the Smart Hive project treasury. Unlike other cryptocurrencies with voting systems, Smart Cash allows everyone to participate. One smart equals one vote. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, It is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and we're live with you wherever you are. We are here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or hit us up on Discord at discord.lrn.fm, and you'll sound like you are sitting here in the studio with us. And the us in studio is myself, Chris,
Bob,
and Melanie.
And Melanie, you're bringing in a story that I think alternatively, some people in their lives would have really supported a law like this. And some people would think is horrific. I'm thinking we're going to come down on the side of horrific. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, just a little.
All right. So tell us about it.
To be fair, I think everything that public schools do is horrific.
Yeah,
no argument there.
Including exists. So there's a school in Utah. I don't know if you want me to read the whole thing or not, but there's a school in Utah who has banned saying no when girls are asked to dance, because it's exclusionary to people who would be told no.
Okay. So basically, if a boy asks a girl to dance, she, under this proposal, is this a school
It's not a law, but it's a school policy.
Policy says that girls, you can no longer say no when a boy asks you to dance. I've got to wonder how many times this principal was told no at dances when he was in school.
Yeah, and these are, so it says preteen girls, so I don't know if that's middle school, or I think that would make it middle school.
I think so.
So it's kind of creepy they have dances in the first place, but they apparently have mandatory dances.
Mandatory. So you have to.
Well, I don't know that you have to go to the dance, but if you're there, you can't say no.
You can't say no. Okay.
And the parents, because they're not completely psychotic, only mostly psychotic, are complaining about this.
Yeah.
Understandably.
So frankly, given given that principle, I tend to. I mean, statistically, this is a huge problem in public schools, but it's certainly setting off my pedo alert.
Right. So again, I mean, what do you think? 855-450-3733. Should girls be required to dance with whoever asks them to dance? This is such a silly thing. I mean, who came up with this? Do we have any
principal?
Somebody who doesn't believe in self-ownership.
Obviously not.
I mean, most people don't believe in self-ownership. They just don't quite take it to its logical conclusion.
Yeah.
No kidding. But do they have any details on this? Is there a name of the town or?
It just says a Utah elementary school.
Elementary.
What? Oh, what? Yeah, definitely. This guy's definitely a pedo.
So, yeah, but some elementary schools go to like 8th grade.
Maybe. I don't know. Different parts of the country I've been in. Where I grew up, it was referred to as junior high was grades 6 through 8. And different areas, it was middle school. And sometimes there was, plus a year. Sometimes it was 7 to 8, 7 to 9. I don't know. High school's usually 9 to 12. I get that part. But what school was having dances in elementary school? I think like K through 5, maybe.
Yeah, it's
yeah, but I mean that was a while ago. So I mean, I'm sure they just keep pushing it back and pushing it back.
Is this another age thing you're bringing up with me, Melanie? Are you
well, you're not.
something?
Yes, I'm insinuating that you're not 13 years old.
But I feel 13.
There was that creepy dude that did that too, and no.
Yeah, I just
thing is stupid.
Yeah, I just cannot envision requiring someone who clearly does not want to dance with someone else to have to dance with someone else.
Yeah,
this is so far removed from my worldview.
It's basic freedom of association,
right?
I mean, they've been doing it with friends for a long time. You have to be friends with everybody, and you can't exclude people from being your friends. And if you have a birthday party, you have to invite all 40 people into class.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
this is just the next step.
I remember trying to pull that one with my parents, and they were like, no, we're not paying for
public schools have always been commie hellholes. I mean, there is the classic, did you bring enough for everybody bullcrap?
Right.
No, I mean, it's always been like that.
The people I have on my friends list who have young kids in school, the school refers to students about each other as friends. So regardless of the relationship between these kids, instead of saying a student, they'll say so-and-so's friends, like so-and-so being your kid.
Right.
I mean, that would make sense if it were a private Quaker school.
Right.
But that's about it.
Well, even that's creepy, but...
We do have a caller who wants to talk about bad rules. David in New Mexico, watching us on YouTube. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, were you talking about here Rod Rosenstein and Melissa Schwartz earlier?
You're breaking up just a little bit.
Yeah, if it sounds like I'm calling you from inside a tin can, it's because I am. The volume is so low on the phone hold that the can. If I put the phone in the can, it amplifies it, and I can hear you better.
Well, you're better now.
So anyway, yeah, Rod Rosenstein, Melissa Schwartz.
Yes.
And what Melanie said, bad rules. That's right, bad does rule. And I agree with you. I've said that for years myself, that the reason that our country is messed up, and I use the word messed because I can't use another word, is because the game has been rigged against you in the form of the rules, and they're beating you by playing you with these rules, and they're going to continue to beat you and beat you and beat you, and you'll never defeat your government, the powers that be, until you change the rules.
Do you think they're just trying to beat us down to the point where we just quit even objecting? That's how it seems to me.
Yeah. Well, that is.
Yeah, I don't really know what their methods are that they're devising and trying to implement.
Well, how about their end game? What's the end game?
Yeah, that's the point. The end game is the same end game in all through humans. Is they want to dominate everything that they can possibly dominate. Every human has that natural instinct, and some act on it more than other people. Some people are able to control themselves, but there are enough psychopaths out there that, I've said this before, if it's possible to do it, for instance, the old thing about ruling the world, it's kind of a joke, like nobody could possibly rule the world. But if there's the slightest chance that somebody or some group of somebodies could control the world, there are psychopaths out there that will dedicate their lives to it and every resource they can possibly muster to attempt to rule the world. And so, by definition, by definition, that means that there are people that are trying to rule the world, and whether it's the city, the county, the state, the nation, or the world, I guarantee you that there are psychopaths that, and you're not going to disagree with me if I've been listening to you correctly for the last how many years, there are psychopaths that are going to try. And because they've over the 200 years that the country has been in existence, and the millions of years or hundreds of thousands of years that human society has been in existence, the same thing has been going on, and they've been slowly perfecting it and tightening the noose and screwing down the vise on your private parts, for these.
David, thanks for the call. No argument there that the government, the more intrusive it gets, the more intrusive it wants. The more power it gets, the more power it wants. The question is that what you want? It's not what I want. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
We pledge allegiance to one flag, and that flag is the American flag.
Did you know the official national American flag has never been manufactured for retail stores? The one that Americans fought and died for. The one symbol that represents our Constitution. Now you can be a part of this great movement that's never been seen before. Together, we'll recapture America. Call 1-877-383-4777 or visit theofficialflag.com. Theofficialflag.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855 450 free, eagerly awaiting your phone calls. We've been talking about the 25th Amendment. We've been talking about overuse of executive power. We've had some callers call in and talk about psychopathic politicians. We've had callers talk about cigarette taxes. That's what I like about the show. You can call. You can bring up any subject you like, and we will discuss it as long as you recognize the fact that we are regulated by the FCC and you cannot use bad words.
Speaking of violations of the Constitution.
And there you go. But right now I did want to go, and not only can you call 855-450-FREE or 855-450-3733 to talk to us, you can also hit us up on Discord. Discord allows you at discord.lrn.fm to connect directly over the internets to the show, and you are going to sound great. But we're going to give it a try right now, and let's go to E. Greg. E. Greg, you're on Free Talk Live. Can you hear me? E. Greg, hold on. Let me see if we're getting through here or not. While I'm checking into that, we'll go ahead and I'm going to put that on hold, and we're going to try again at the next break. But before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about this idea that students should be forced, or more importantly, girls should be forced to have to dance with boys if they ask them at a high school dance. This to me was a rite of passage. This to me was my first exposure to the idea that, dude, she might not like you. You know what I mean? And it was also a learning experience that just because, you know, Sarah or Elizabeth didn't dance with you, it wasn't the end of the world. So what kind of a message does that send to kids that if you ask someone to dance, they have to dance with you?
Well, that is a fair point. Like it probably will lead to more entitled attitudes like, oh, well, you're not going to sleep with me. Well, you better.
Right. Because you can't say no. And I for the life of me, I cannot understand where something like this comes from. But it certainly did come. And this is a policy, from what we know about the story, a grade school has this policy somewhere in Utah that says if a girl asks you to dance, then you are required by law to dance with her.
It does seem a little weird that it's coming out of Utah.
Does it?
Well, with their reasoning, yes. With their reasoning of inclusivity and given the general makeup of Utah being very, very highly LDS.
Right. And this does not seem to be in line with that kind of thinking at all. Certainly not in line with my kind of thinking. We're going to try going to the Discord again, and we're going to try E. Greg again. E. Greg, you're on Free Talk Live. Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, excellent. Very good. Thank you. Go ahead. What
Beautiful.
are your thoughts?
All right. I actually called in on the phone. I'm going to hang up here. Hey, everybody. Good evening. So I just wanted to ask somewhat of a funny question. The public stock market is basically people owning stocks. The public is owning the stocks, right?
Correct.
And I kind of asked this before, but I just wanted to ask if collective ownership of the means of production, it sounds a lot like the collective ownership of corporations.
Well, there's
What
a
are
difference between
corporations?
collective
Yeah.
ownership and co-ownership.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge difference.
Okay.
So
what can we get into that? What is the difference between those two?
Sure. If I own, let's say in a socialist setting, I own the means of production. That means that I personally can control the means of production. I can say how many workers I'm going to put on this assembly line and how many products we're going to ship and things like that. With collective ownership, the difference is huge, because that's saying that I don't have to amass so much wealth that I actually control the means of production. I just want to take a bet. I'm going to say that by investing some amount of money, and it can be a really small amount, say it's $100, that $100 is going to yield a more of a return invested in this company than if it's not invested in that company. So it's certainly a question of scale, which is why controlling the means of production in a socialist sense really becomes cost prohibitive.
Right. Hold on. I didn't get the difference. In one sense, you've got a company, a large corporation like Amazon.
Yeah. Let's say Amazon, and I want to buy. Well, I have no idea. Let's say shares are $100. I know they're much more than that. But say it's $100 a share today, and I want to buy 5 shares, so I have $500 invested in Amazon. Now, if I tried to duplicate what Amazon did and control the means of production for $500, I certainly could not do that.
Right. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that the shareholders then vote in a democratic way to elect
no,
the
that's
board.
not how that works.
So go ahead, explain.
So first of all, nobody who's just like buying stock on AIG or whatever owns a controlling interest in Amazon or anything else.
You can. You can.
No, you can't.
They're not going to make.
Well, that's
because
true
it's
because
not for
those,
sale, so no, you can't.
Right. Not enough shares are available to get a controlling interest.
Yeah.
Right.
So that means you can't. So with co-ownership, me and one other person or 5 other people or 10,000 other people decide, hey, we're going to buy this thing, and we agree to be X% share owners. With common, what did you call it? Common ownership?
Collective
ownership. Sure. Everybody owns it, whether they want to be responsible for it or not, whether they invested anything in it or not, whether they want to own property with each other or not. So, yeah, if you... Okay. And first of all, stock is not the greatest system. It's kind of a collateral consequence of corporations, which are creatures of government and therefore not a good thing.
Does that make sense?
I guess the corporation. I just wanted to explore what is a corporation. I mean, it sounds like
it's a business that has special immunities from liability granted by the state. That's what a corporation is.
When it comes right down to it, that's where the difference lies between just a partnership or collective ownership of some organization.
Right.
But once you introduce, state regulation and state issues, then it becomes something much more than it was. So right now, corporations in general, well, look at all the benefits they get. Well, those are all benefits from government. Yep. I'm not saying I agree with those.
I'm not a big fan. Like Amazon was going to get $3 billion of taxpayer money.
Yeah.
To
Why
get
should
into
they?
New York City. I'm not a big fan of that. I think the taxpayers could have spent their own money the way they wanted to hire people. So I'm totally in agreement.
Okay. How about when people vote in representatives that choose to offer Amazon $5 billion or whatever number it happened to be to come create jobs in their state?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. When people start to create these corporations or organizations of any kind, what happens if, let's say, I create a company, there's no state, and then, I just leave, or somebody creates a company, passes away. What happens to all the bank accounts in that bank? What happens to all the accounts of that website? Like what happens when that happens.
Okay, so first of all, in the absence of the state, people would have to be prepared for that, and they would foresee it because there would be no fictitious entity or state to protect them when that happened.
And nobody's going to leave these things for chance if they're worth money.
Yeah, so you could still have wills, you can still have successors, you could still have stuff set up, but if you're taking on liabilities and getting the rewards, you're the one who's going to carry the risk in the absence of the state.
Yep.
So like that guy who died and had the cryptocurrency exchange, all the money went with that guy. Like, is that?
Yeah, that was poor management, and now
exchanges are stupid.
If if there's nothing set up, then I mean, property can be abandoned and thus re-homesteaded.
Thanks for your call. 855. 450-3733.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Hello. I am looking for a special soul from the GCN audience to hire to come to East Ridge, Tennessee and take care of two peaceful, easygoing people, which are a sweet 95-year-old woman and her 60-year-old son. Terms would be free room and board, plus the use of all of our facilities here at home, in exchange for living with us and seeing to our needs. We must have someone that fits in well. We get along with most anybody and value those who like to do the same. We live in a suburb of the scenic city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Please email Matt at peaceaboveall.net for additional information. Please include your informal resume stating your strengths and weaknesses and reasons you would make a dedicated caregiver. We would also offer to negotiate a nominal salary in addition to everything else. Again, please email matt@peaceaboveall.net. Thanks for responding.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, here to hear from you in our last segment. So if you call right now, your call may get through. If not, give us a call tomorrow night, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. And our last caller was through Discord, and they brought up it was a topic. They were talking about how ownership of stock is or is not really just controlling the means of production.
Well, it's not controlling the means of production because you don't control anything.
Exactly.
The board of directors does.
Right.
There have been instances where a company gave up majority stockholdership just kind of by accident.
Right.
But then those are bought by another large corporation. They're not bought by some guy down the street.
Sure. But in that conversation, he also brought up the case of Quadriga, which was a cryptocurrency exchange that lost $135 million because the owner died. At least that's the story, and we're going to discuss that a little bit.
And so I think
further.
that there's a couple of issues there. I understand his concern, and it's not an invalid concern. So, first of all, exchanges are kind of byproducts of the state. You don't really... Because in the absence of the state, you could just hold your own keys and trade with whoever you want and not have to worry about any of the paperwork.
Right. And to be clear about that, here's how, and when we talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, there's a basic way that you control that wealth, that money, and that's through public key encryption. Every Bitcoin wallet has a public key, which anybody can send money to, and you can expose that address to anybody because you want people to send you money.
Unless you have black market income in it, then maybe don't do that.
That's not tax advice, but it's good advice.
No, it's legal advice.
Legal advice. The other half of that, in addition to public keys, are the private keys. And if you possess the private keys, this is, I'm going to say, highly, highly unlikely that anyone will ever be able to access your money. They can't steal it. They can't spend it. But the problem is that puts all the responsibility on you to safeguard those in a way that makes your money safe.
Yeah, so it's exchanges, especially crypto exchanges, are something that the government kind of made feasible. And then the private market mismanaged this exchange. That is what happened. So it's kind of both of their faults.
Would you say... I disagree a little bit in the sense that government didn't make cryptocurrency exchanges when they first came out. The market made cryptocurrency
Okay, but there is absolutely
exchanges.
no reason to have an exchange in the absence of the state. You just have your own wallet, and you can go online and trade with whoever.
Oh, yeah, there is a reason. The reason is that I may not know enough people. This is exchanges.
But websites exist, and in the absence of the state, I can have tradecrypto.com,
right,
and we can trade with individuals all day long.
We can exchange. Is that what you're saying?
That's not an exchange.
Yeah, but the exchanges are holding the currencies.
The other, and I understand the semantic difference, but what exchanges do provide are a marketplace to offer things for sale. In other words, my cryptocurrency, and those are either bid up or bid down, and I can buy high or sell low and things like that. Those are
right, but nobody considers like Craigslist to be an exchange because it's not what we know the word exchange to mean.
I understand, and those are places that we sell in the exchange of goods. But what I'm saying is that absent a state, exchanges would likely still exist because that's one of the pricing mechanisms that we use. That's a part of how some markets arrive at pricing, and that's one of the big things. Prices are signals, and for me to see what's going on a particular exchange, that gives me information I would not have access to easily otherwise.
But regardless, the market did fail here. And so there's two issues with that. And one is, so if you do business with somebody, you're taking the risk. If you hand somebody, and no individual person, as far as I know, handed him $1 million.
Right.
But if you hand your money to somebody, that's who you're dealing with. You're not dealing with some fictitious mystical being that has the power to just reset all your codes at will. You're dealing with the individual, and so if he dies, you have a claim against a dead man.
Right.
That's
and that's the end of story.
Not worth a whole lot.
Right.
So that's who your claims against. Your claims against the dead guy. But then as far as, that was a market failure. The claim about capitalism or free markets or whatever you want to call it is not the market will never fail and it has a 100% success rate at doing everything.
Right. Oh, come
That's
on.
just a
At
silly
all
straw
times,
man.
the
Right.
claim is everything else sucks so much worse that this is the best system we can come up with as human beings.
Right.
The
Right.
claim is not a claim of infallibility.
Well, that's right, and I get so tired of, and we're a mostly libertarian show. In your utopian libertarian society, it's like, stop right there.
Yeah. No.
Who said this is going to be utopian? There's going to be a lot of aspects that I think that would annoy a lot of libertarians, but the point is we have to just say, I got to take the good with the bad. There are so many advantages outside of these few instances that we've identified that
And then if you
I
were
have
used
to do that. Yep, and we're going to go back to your calls. Jim from Scottsdale, Arizona, you're on Free Talk Live. Jim from Scottsdale. Going once.
Yeah, Robert. How are you?
Hi, Robert.
I'm doing pretty good.
Robert, this call's about you. And one of my least favorite political buzzwords.
And thank you for
blowback.
your call. I recognize that. That's James from Arizona.
But I wanted to rip him a new one.
I know you did, but I think he's been banned again.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the thing. If you do get banned from Free Talk Live, we just don't ban people.
I don't know if anyone out there heard that the time when they put on Dave from New York and James there on the same time. It's basically that's what I would be going for. But
well, sorry about that, James. You've been a bad boy. You've been banned. I don't know how many times for calling in, which is really disappointing because I used to actually enjoy James' calls because he would always attack the same thing. I always defend it the same way. But it seemed like sort of a stalemate. He was not open to hearing my side of things, and I certainly wasn't open to his. But this idea that exchanges wouldn't exist, I think they would.
Okay, well,
I do.
I can be wrong about some of my predictions, and a lot of people, every single person is probably wrong about some of their predictions. I'm open to that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Except for me.
That's fine. But then the other thing is we're kind of used to being able to rely on this kind of silly, okay, well, if something wrong happens in my stock exchange, I don't have to worry about the stability of the company because I'm covered. And that's kind of what we're used to. So if that wasn't the standard, people would maybe look into it more and say, okay, well, can I trust this crypto exchange or not? Because there wouldn't be this standard in their head of, I can just give it to an exchange and that's a safe thing to do.
Right. So they see protection on the exchange side. They trust that the Dow Jones is being managed by, whoever it is, or the New York Stock Exchange. But they also look at all the safety nets, quote unquote safety nets, that are supposed to be provided by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
And I've had issues with that with stock exchanges where they just kind of did a unauthorized liquidation and we're like, yep, we can, screw you.
Right. And a lot of that points to the inefficiency of, this is one thing that gets discussed a lot in crypto circles, is there a better way to perform stocks? Is it better if we were to tokenize stock certificates so we didn't have to just trust the same 4 or 5 clearinghouses globally to keep track of who has what stocks? Because it doesn't work, it's inaccurate. Dole Pineapple, Dole Foods, Dole Fruit, whatever it's called, did an audit, and they found that they had something like 17% more stock certificates in circulation than the company had ever issued. Because if you think about it, stock A is sold to broker A, who then passes it to broker B, but it recalls 5% of the stocks, and broker D sells it to broker E. They just lose track of it. It just doesn't work. But that's all the time we have. You can find us every night on Free Talk Live. 855-450-3733. Give us a call tomorrow night. We look forward to your calls.
If you're looking for work, it's a process of elimination, and you're trying not to be eliminated. So here's a tip for making the cut, and this might seem subtle, but to the person interviewing you, it's not. There is a world of difference between applicants who convey, "I need a job," and those who simply ooze, "I want to work," especially in these lean times when many you're competing with will seem desperate in "I'll take anything" mode. If you convey specific interest in this job at this company, you will be conspicuous. Thus, the value of going to school on the company you're applying to before the interview. With money and attention so tight now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet,